Hello and welcome to the Knock On scoreline.ie's rugby podcast. Joined tonight by former Leinster captain, rugby extraordinaire and legend. We had to upgrade him after last week's controversy. It's Chris Pim and of course Tullow rugby legend and man of many talents, Johnny Tobin. Lads, how are you?
All good, thank you.
Good, thanks.
We've actually a fair bit to get through this week, considering, of course, the Lions games come thick and fast, but we have to go back to last Saturday and talk about the Irish-USA game. I was looking forward to it. Always do when there's a couple of lads making their debuts, getting their first caps, and then just to see, it's not like Ireland. I think we're always going to beat the USA. That's a given, but it's just to see what's out there and how they react in that environment, and just to see, is there any promise in a lot of these players? Huge score at the end of it, Chris, 71-10 as expected, but the USA, I suppose, kept with Ireland for some of it before Ireland put the boot down, but generally what you would have expected from the game.
Well, yeah, actually, to be quite honest, I would have expected a bit more from the USA. They would have given Ireland decent sort of games in the past, but that was a complete washout. And yeah, look, Ireland were in control from 10th or 11th minute, whatever it was. And I thought they did really, really well. I thought a load of the young lads stepped up to the plate. Really, really impressive stuff. Obviously, Ronan Keller, delight for him now, obviously getting a call out to South Africa. So yeah, totally deserved and delighted for him. But yeah, look, right across the park, there were guys caught the eye, and I think it'd be very hard to say there was any of them had a bad game. But certainly, Balakun was probably the one that stole the thunder with his absolutely outstanding try from broken field. So yeah, look, hopefully he can repeat that at the higher level. He's obviously had a lot of injuries and stuff, even despite his young age. So this is kind of his first proper run at this level. So yeah, look, here's hope on this. He can bring that magic with him every week.
Absolutely. Johnny, as Chris said, there wasn't really any player that had a bad game. For a friendly match and a match against the lower opposition, they seemed to have a bit of a plan there. There was no real panic and as such. A couple of mistakes, errors that you'd expect in a game like that. But overall, you could sort of see the makings of a plan, of an Andy Farrell plan in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. And it looked funny because they're kind of playing an unstructured game while being structured at the same time. So it's chaotic, but it's manageable. Balakun was outstanding, but that comes from his sevens background, I suppose. Broken play, give that guy an inch and he'll take a mile, But definitely coming and building towards something. You can see some sort of blueprint in the background, but it's exciting to watch that. It's because it's unstructured, but yet structured. There could be a lot more to offer come November Test series,
Absolutely. Ronan Keller got himself on the score sheet a whole handful of times. He was impressive, Johnny, of course. We know what he can bring. He's had since he came onto the scene with Leinster, I suppose, a year or two ago, and really started putting his hand up. He's still building that momentum. And as Chris was saying, it's manifested itself in a Lions call-up, even though they're not struggling for cover.
Yeah, no, it's well-deserved. He's kind of a complete package. He's like a Sean Cronin crossed with a Jerry Flannery, crossed with a Keith Wood. He kind of offers you everything, He really has. He has all the attributes, all the skill sets, and he's ticking all the boxes. So it's thoroughly deserved, and hopefully it goes well from him. Hopefully he gets a test or even any sort of a cap.
Absolutely. Chris, Caelan Doris, you're a big fan of the back row, of course. That's where that's your area of expertise. He was fantastic on the day as well.
Really,
and of course,
should have had 2 tries. He dropped the ball over the line twice, but other than that, we'll forgive him that. But yeah, look, really, really impressive. Every time he carries, he moves like a thoroughbred. I mean, he really is. He looked like an outstanding athlete. And look, Leinster have some problem picking a number 8 next season, that's for sure. Because as I'm sure we'll come on to discuss later, Conan's having a super tour down under as well. So look, that's going to be really interesting to see what way they manage that. And look, right across the park, Gavin Coombs, absolutely exceptional. Josh got man of the match, but I mean, you could have given it to anybody. Ryan Baird, Sean Will. I thought probably one of the guys who made a couple of bad mistakes was James Ryan, as our beloved leader. So he was probably a bit frustrated, I'd say, at the end of it. But yeah, other than that, I thought Casey did well at the base. I thought Joey got into the game much more than he did the week before, and it would be really good for his confidence seeing him get a decent 80 minutes under his belt. So yeah, look, a lot of really, really good positives. Hugo Keenan as well. Jesus, he just gets better every game.
Yeah, and very, very underrated, Chris, I think.
Very underrated, but he's the most unlikely looking rugby player. I mean, he looks like he should be playing badminton or something. I mean,
it's true.
He does nothing wrong. He is just in the right place, the right time. He makes the right decisions. He's just been absolute. I mean, what they have newcomer of the year. If he doesn't win that hands down, he'll never win it because he's just been absolutely exceptional, and he was exceptional again on Saturday. So yeah. Really...
And Johnny, Andrew Conway was back out again in the green jersey too, and he didn't do much wrong on the day.
Yeah, he's a man that makes very little mistakes. To be fair to him, he's exceptionally good. But I think the move to Munster really done it for Andrew. I think he's really grown bigger and bigger and bigger and more into the game since he's got more game time, more opportunities. He's like Keith Earls. The two of them are just, I think they're phenomenal wingers, to be honest. I really think they offer the whole package. So when you have the headache of the Andrew Conways, the Hugo Keenans, Keith Earls, James Lowes, Robert Balakoon coming into it now.
Yeah, it's
a selection process I wouldn't like to be involved in anyway.
Yep, Simon Zebo's going to have some job trying to get back in that door again, Chris.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think, well, we've discussed Simon Zuba before, so I'm not 100% sure that he's going to add a whole lot to the party at this stage, but I'm quite happy to be proved wrong. But yeah, look, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out back in Munster and obviously at international level as well. But I would think, given the youth crop that's coming through there for Andy Farrell, now I'd say it'd be very hard for him to look at Zebo at this stage. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, look, he'll have to be absolutely outstanding week in, week out for Munster before he'd take a look. But even then, I think he might find it challenging. And I'm not sure he's Andy Farrell's kind of player. He'd be a little bit of a maverick. Didn't really suit Joe either. So yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, I think we've lots of other options there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. In a lot of different positions as well, so not a bad complaint. Actually, before we wrap up the Ireland thing as well, personally, it was great to see Harry Byrne getting a shot out as well. Didn't do much wrong in the game either, and fair play to him. It's good to get a taste of international rugby and get his first cap as well. A good day for him.
Yeah, no, he looked really good actually. I thought he looked really composed and really settled and looked like he'd been there for years. I was really impressed with him actually. I'd forgotten about that, but yeah, no, I thought he was really, really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he came in, to be fair, the tempo kept up. He was very, very good. Now he's very sharp.
Yeah, not nervous with his place kicks either. Seemed to be okay with that sort of stuff. Took it, especially, and there was a bit of a crowd there as well for a change. So that was blending back into that environment as well. Lads, we'll move on to the lines. We'll go back to weekend. We'll work in chronological order and move forward from there. So we'll talk about the Lions against the Sharks. That's sort of a facile game in the end, 71-31. Johnny, there was a bit of a contest in it until the 46th minute, until Henriks's elbow into Liam Williams. And of course, once the red card came out, sure, it was game over.
Yeah, if I was a Sharks coach, I'd be frustrated because I'd say they were in that game up until that moment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, whitewash in the end. For the first 30 minutes, it looked like a game of tennis. It was, you would score, I'd score, you'd score, I'd score. But look, they done the job, I suppose, and they got the win, and a win is a win. So, but look, I don't know. It's hard to judge that Lions team there, and it's hard to judge this whole tour. It's just so strange.
Yeah, It was, Chris, there's so many errors in that match as well, and they played him, of course, a couple of days earlier. 26 all at half time. You would be thinking to yourself, going, oh.
Yeah, look, I think the whole thing was a bit of a shambles. They clearly got stuck for a fixture. The fact that they had to turn around and play the same team again was just an absolute joke. It took away from the whole game. You could see the Lions guys were, they were trying to have a cut at everything, and then it wasn't coming off, and then they were making breakaways down the pitch, and it kind of just kept the Lions almost kept the Sharks in the game, if that makes any sense, by trying offloads and stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily try. And it was just horrible. And it was so grim to watch it, to be honest. I thought the tour had almost ceased to be, but certainly last night's game was a little bit more along the lines of what we would have expected at this level. And to be honest, it was I thought it was a cracking game. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. South Africa A 17, Lions 13. Johnny, it was a bit of a wake-up call. We spoke about it last week. I felt that it was going to be a tough match for the Lions because effectively it was a South Africa team. The A doesn't really mean anything.
No, but sure, look at it's the opposition they're out against, and now they're getting tested. Like Chris said, up until last night, was there much interest in it? No. I sat through the first 40 minutes of Saturday's game on my phone looking at scores from other games. I didn't take myself from the seat last night. It was interesting. You could enjoy an actual game of rugby. It wasn't a training parquet out for a senior cup team training against a third year team. It was a blowout, and it was good, and it was what rugby should be. It was at the level it should be at for a Lions Test tour. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's, I suppose, a side story to it all as well. Rassie Erasmus, on the sideline as he rolled his water by, which is after headlines. It was so bonkers to see it. But
it's intelligent on his part.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And everyone's thinking, well, why didn't I do it before? But Warren Gatland had a pop off him today as well about it and everything. But a huge lead, Chris, for South Africans, and obviously they're missing it. Only for COVID, they would have had a lot more players on that side. It would have nearly been a proper box side.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, if I was Gatland or Rassie this morning, I would rather be Gatland. I think in that second half, the Lions really got their shit together, and while they maybe you couldn't call them dominate the game, they certainly played all the rugby in the second half. And South Africa took their try as well. But I wouldn't be overly concerned if I was Gatland. I'd say he'll take a lot of positives out of that game. There was a lot of guys who went really, really well. There's a couple of guys who mightn't have been just yet put their hand up. Certainly put their hand up last night. And I'd nearly be more confident going into the tests now than I would have been before last night's game, because I felt we've never been tested. We don't know what we're going to be like under pressure. How we're going to react under pressure. They went well behind, thought they reacted well. And as I said, they played all the rugby in the second half. And we can go through the team. There's a number of lads who put their hand up. I thought Tom Curry was absolutely outstanding for 60 minutes. Whereas I didn't have him on my test team. I definitely have him in it now. And so look, there was I think there was a lot of positives there.
Owen Farrell and Conor Murray probably struggled a bit to get a bit of control, I suppose, in the first half. There was bad kicking and a couple of bits like that, but they pulled themselves back into it as the game went on. They sort of seemed to settle a bit in the second half.
Yeah, I would just actually, Farrell was the one who actually concerned me probably the most. I don't think he looked settled the whole game. I think he looked a little bit, not flustered, but just didn't look his normal, composed self. And, the couple of chicks carried down, and then your man, the kick went straight out in the full. And, this sort of stuff, it was like, oh, this is not the Owen Farrell we know. And I think he's clearly feeling the heat from Bigger. And, he kind of took it as this was his chance to nail down the 10th spot, and it'd be very hard to say that he did. So he was probably one who would be not overly confident based on his performance last night. But I see they're playing Marcus Smith on Saturday, so I didn't see there were subs. Is Bigger on the bench?
Yeah, we can go through the team now in a couple of minutes. We'll go on to the match. Bigger is Marcus Smith is number 10. Yeah, and the fella that flew over is on the bench.
Smith.
Sorry, Smith.
He's the guy who came in. He's on the bench, is he?
Yeah. No, sorry. Smith gets his debut. He starts it out half. Sorry, because he only joined for Finn Russell. Yeah.
Who's covering on the bench? Covering 10.
So the bench. We got on the bench. Chris Harris, Garth Davies, Sam Simmons, Alun Wyn Jones on the bench, Lander Fagerson, Vunapola, Jamie George, and Lewis Rees-Zammit is your bench.
They don't have a 10 on the bench.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I read it twice. It was like going, well, they don't have it. They don't have a proper 10. Pardon?
Yeah. Lewis Rees-Zammit could cover 10, but they don't have a proper 10 on the bench.
Yeah, that's
or Elliot Daly, he's been played in every game so far, hasn't he?
He's everywhere.
I double checked it because I thought I had a number or left out of it. So that's a bit of a strange one. But that's
a 5-3 split, are they?
Yeah, it looks like it.
3 backs, yeah.
Yeah. Which is a strange one. We can go into detail with that team now in a couple of moments, of course. But just to wrap up the South Africa A thing as well, Johnny, there was a lot of issues with breakdowns. With the breakdown, especially for the lines, lots of turnovers for South Africa as well. I mean, even Etzebeth had a savage game for the Springboks.
He's just a unit, though, to be fair. It's the physicality. It comes down to the physicality and who's there first. You know, I felt the ball was very slow for the Lions. I thought they were happy and content just sitting over it, where South Africa are not happy and content doing that. They're going to go through you if you're there early and set early. So they lost the physical aspect of the ruck, definitely, and a lot of slow ball from Murray and a lot of sloppy ball as well. So it's a wake-up call, and hopefully it's the one they needed before going into a test in a week's or 2 weeks' time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts on it, Johnny?
No, it was the most interesting game of the series so far to watch. Actually, that and the Japan game, but that's not part of the tour. But no, it was good overall. And like Chris said, I'd be a lot more confident going into this Saturday and next week if I was Warren Gatland than if I was Razzie, because I thought the line showed a lot of character the last 40 minutes, whereas I thought South Africa kind of died off a bit in maybe their fitness and their energy levels weren't actually there. So I'd be very confident that the Lions could probably potentially get a win this weekend and be in a better place going into the first test.
Does the intensity come back down a bit, Chris, coming into this one? You know,
I would have thought so. But given that it's the last Saturday before he picks his test team, there'll be none of the Lions holding back. That's for sure. Everybody will want to try and put down a marker. Certainly last Saturday was a bit of a joke, and the week, even the couple before that, were less than satisfactory either. So this is, regardless of what sort of team they're playing against, this is it's a final test. It's a final trial essentially for anybody who's on the park, and anybody who hasn't been happy up to this stage, who's not getting a gallop on Saturday, will be, they'll be fretting a bit. So it'll be really interesting to see. But make no mistake, the Lions will be full metal jacket this weekend, that's for sure. And whoever they're playing against will hopefully pay the consequences. But it'll be interesting to see. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But so good to see Robbie Henshaw back. He obviously has missed a couple of games and he's been quite lightly played, which I think is a good thing given that he's played a lot of rugby this year. So, but based on any comments and stuff that Gatland has been making, he sees him as his starting 13 bar something else happens in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronan Keller, as we were saying earlier, and Alun Wyn Jones have lined up as well with the Lions. Alun Wyn Jones is straight into camp, which is and probably in serious contention to start one of the tests as well. Is it a strange call? Actually, congratulations, Ronan Keller, as we were saying earlier. He's joined up as well, but he's already trained with him as well, so he's a bit of a head start there. But Alun Wyn Jones, lads, we suppose we need to talk about that. Shoulder injuries. Chris, you've had similar before. It's a sore dose.
It's the sorest injury you'll ever have. Yeah, it is just, the pain is excruciating. But yeah, look, I mean, as I was saying earlier, there is, if you are lucky and you can get it back into place quickly, and with the right rehab and stuff, you absolutely can get back now. They'll obviously be a lot more careful, a lot more professional than they would have been back in my day. But yeah, look, I don't see a major issue with it based on it was a straightforward dislocation and they were able to get it straight back in. So it looks like it settled really well. So yeah, look, he'll be strapped up to high heaven, but that's not to say that it's any guarantee that it won't happen again. But look, I think from an emotional point of view, he's a big part of the tour, and they're glad to have him there. So look, if he gets 20 minutes off the bench on Saturday and comes through that, I can't see him not starting. Yeah,
absolutely. Johnny, they must be expecting a lot of attrition, bringing out Ronan as a hooker, even though they don't necessarily need cover at the moment. Alun Wyn Jones as well. He's obviously expecting a lot of lads on a physio's table over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm actually delighted for Alun Wyn Jones, to be honest with you, because it's a great ending to a career for a man who's given so much to the sport and to the Lions and Wales. And obviously, I'm delighted for Ronan Kelleher, but I'd say form has to play a massive part in Ronan getting called up. You can't overlook someone who's performing so well, and obviously they thought something of him when they brought him to Jersey to train there, and he's seen something in him. But yeah, I think, like what Chris said, I think if Alun Wyn Jones gets through 20 minutes on Saturday, I think it's enough for him to put himself in the starting test shirt. I don't think there could be any argument in the second rows, because second row is probably one of the areas where we haven't been performing our best, and we haven't had lads standing up to nail on a test jersey as such. But look, if you have him in a squad and you have him up for selection and you're starting 15 or your match day 23, he has to be in it. He really just has to be in it from an emotional point of it and from a player point of it. He's a great leader, but he's also an excellent player, and he's excellent in the air, and he's talking to the referees as well. That'll what will be missed. How he communicates with the referees is excellent. I listened to Murray last night. He was good, but his manner isn't the same level as what Alun Wyn Jones would have.
I'm afraid of Alun Wyn Jones. He just has that. He's that imposing figure. He's just that sort of a stern Welsh second row. He just gives you a look. if he was your captain, yeah. It's just one of those. Even looking at him on the telly, you'd be like, going, imagine playing alongside him now. You know where you stood fairly sharpish. Chris, Marcus Smith, his debut for the Lions in an important game. Like you said, it's a shop window for the test matches as well. That's a nervy one for him going into that match as well.
Yeah, massive. Wasn't even playing club rugby 18 months ago. So he's had some baptism on fire, and obviously played in that incredible Harlequins team that basically managed to concede 40 points every week and still win. So, an extraordinary setup. So he's a young fella. He's quite small. So, he's going to get a serious physical examination on Saturday. That's for absolute certain. So it'll be really interesting to see how he goes. I suppose just going back to the Kelleher thing, it is interesting given that after Saturday, there's no more midweek matches. So, you're one of your four hookers there. Where is he going to get in? And he's not even going to get a gallop now, bar he actually picks him straight onto the bench in one of the test matches, which would have seemed like a slightly bizarre call at this stage, given the three hookers that are all there are all kind of senior pros who've been around the block and been on Lions tours, and County hasn't, but the other two have. So it's kind of strange to bring him in at this stage, given that he's not going to get an opportunity to gallop, as it would have been in the old days as a dirt tracker midweek. So it's a slightly strange decision. So I'm kind of half expecting to see him in the shake-up for the test match, because otherwise, why would you bother bring him?
Yeah, it's just a holiday.
It's just a holiday, and you've got 3 hookers, bar the 2 of them get smashed up over the next couple of weeks, which, given that one of them will only play 20 minutes, it seems it's a slightly strange call. But look, I hope I'm proven wrong and that he does get a gallop, because it's a long way to go to sit in your backside. So, look, fingers crossed.
When he could have been off sunning himself in Kerry or somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that he wouldn't stop it now, but
in a heartbeat.
yeah, so for sure. But look, wish him all the best. But it is a little strange, but maybe all will become apparent.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a bit hard to read Warren Gatland this year.
It's very hard to read Warren Gatland
anytime.
Yeah. He is his own man and well able for the media, and he always has a plan. So I have a good bit of time for him, to be fair.
Go ahead, Johnny.
I wonder, is it a way of him telling something without telling us by bringing Ronan Keller over there? Maybe he's Cowan Dickey carrying a knock, or someone else carrying a knock, but without saying it, because it's strange bringing him over otherwise. Like, you don't need 4 hookers, So look at, for Ronan's sake, hopefully it is a way of him saying something without saying it, and he does get in a test. But you'd have to imagine he's going to be in the mix-up for a test game, because there's no other logical reason to bring him on.
Yeah.
Has he ever played loose head, or who knows?
He could in a test game.
Yeah, who knows?
You could play him at 7, he wouldn't be out of place.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's Warren's surprise. I need you to play in the back row, lad. And he says, okay. It's a bit of an audition as well, of course. Chris, you were talking earlier about Jack Conan. He's been going well, and this is his final chance to impress as well in the back row before that side is picked. Tyg Byrne as well at the same time. I think Jack's probably playing slightly better.
Yeah, well, I thought Byrne was good now. I mean, he hasn't had a huge amount of turnovers, but he's been in the right place, working hard. They've used him a lot in the line-out. I was surprised how much they used him as a line-out option last week, and that's kind of always a good sign. And if you're kind of building your line-out around, 2 or 3 guys, you kind of get a sense of, maybe they're going to be in the picture. So I don't think Byrne will be a million miles away, but certainly based on last night, I'd have Curry starting at 7. I thought he was just absolutely superb yesterday. And Faletau was okay without being spectacular. So, Jack is a big game tomorrow. I think he'll nail down the 8 slot. Sam Simmons has kind of come off the bench in the last couple of games, and he's a good athlete and whatever, but I'm not sure I'd have him ahead of Byrne or Conan at this stage, but we'll obviously learn a bit more tomorrow as well. Atoje was good, so I'd imagine Atoje will start alongside Jones if he's fit. And then I thought Vinipola was excellent last night. His scrum was really good. I thought we had the edge on them in the scrum, actually, which you don't say very often about a South African pack. So I think that augurs really well for the test. Yeah. So I would have thought Vinipola nailed down his spot there last night. And if you've Tig to come in at tight head, then it's a question of whoever they want at hooker. So look, I think they're it's the pack is certainly starting to take shape.
What about yourself, Johnny? What's your reading into it? We'll talk through the team for this weekend now in a second, but just like as Chris was saying, looking ahead to the tests, can you see any pieces of the jigsaw sort of firmly in place there?
Yeah, look, the back row is interesting because you've Sam Simmons, who has played so well for Exeter, but has offered little to minimum for the Lions as such, I suppose. But I think the thing that I'm interested most in Tyg Byrne is he's doing an awful lot of ball carrying, and he's running an awful lot of sevens lines when he's playing with the likes of Tom Curry and Hamish Watson. So they are freer then for defensive systems and poaching, I suppose, and out in the loose, which is very, very good because normally, generally speaking, you don't really see a 6 running the inside lines and getting the short balls, and it's good. But like Chris said, he's been used in every game he's been involved in. He's been used in the lineouts an awful lot, which is very, very good. But I think for me, the back row would have to be Tadhg Byrne, Tom Curry. That 7's jersey is in his pocket, as far as I'm concerned. And I think Talipa Faletau has done enough I just think he's done enough to get his 8 jersey. And I think Warren will go with him because he knows him.
He's got a history there. He's got a pedigree. He's proven. He's a proven lion at the test level. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they start. Yeah,
my heart would like to say Jack Conan. He's done enough. He's really, really been performing. But I just don't see him coming in. But that doesn't mean I don't see him in a match day squad. As regards second row, you can't look any further past Itoje and Alun Wyn Jones if he's fit. And then for me, the front row is Vunipola, Ken Owens, and Tadhg Furlong. The pack is, I think it's fairly speaks for itself. I think Kyle Sinclair offers an awful lot for the last 25 minutes, 30 minutes off the bench. I think he would be a better impact player than Tadhg Furlong is. I don't think Tadhg actually offers something off the bench as much as what Sinclair would. And I think Vunipola is just a workhorse. He really is a workhorse. His scrummaging is so good. He's
had a tough season this year, but I think he's really kind of got his mojo there now in the last couple of weeks. Really, I don't know who's driving the front rows, but I mean, I believe Sinclair's stats have been just off the bloody charts.
Last night was the first time he missed a tackle. He was 28 from 28 until last night, and I think he missed one last night out of I think it was 8 or 9. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was
9. Yeah, I saw that stat.
I think he missed one out of 9, and out of 37 he's missed one. So that's phenomenal stats for a play by prop.
Yeah, it's pretty good snap for anyone. Never mind your tight head. So
well, if you look at our back rows now, they should be dominant in the tackle area, I suppose. Yeah. But the pack, it's the backs is where it's most interesting because 2 months ago I would have said Owen Farrell would be in the team.
Yeah.
After last night, I don't think he'll be in the team. I really don't.
That's for sure. Yeah.
I think Murray has done enough to get the 9. I think giving him captain when Wyn Jones was injured, I think that shows you where he's at. I think Dan Bigger has been the outstanding 10 of the tournament so far, or the series so far. And then if Robbie Henshaw's fit, Warren Gatlin loves power. Bundy Aki, Robbie Henshaw, Chris Harris, Robbie Henshaw. You're looking at these big lads. I just don't see a place for Owen Farrell in the starting 15, and it's crazy because he's world class, but it's credit to the lad.
He didn't have a good season for England either. He was very poor in the Six Nations.
He's lost his mojo a little bit, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that gives them, a bit of a selection headache. Finn Russell's clearly not. Well, we don't know whether he's going to be fit, but on the basis, so big day for Smith. If he's a stormer tomorrow, who knows?
He could go on a test bench. But the back is it's the back three and the back row is where is the most competition. Like, who do you nail as a back three? Do you know who?
Yeah, I would have had Williams in there before last night, but he got bet up a bit last night and he got hit real bad early, and I don't think he kind of really came back from that. So great opportunity for Hogg tomorrow.
Yeah, Hogg didn't get a good one out his first day
on Saturday. Yeah. But if Hogg goes well tomorrow, I think he'll probably nail down that spot. And I think I'd go with Zammit and probably Watson on my wings at this stage.
Yeah, or Josh Adams.
Yeah, who's been very good, but I mean, he scored 8 tries, but against what? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other side of it too. Yeah, you can be.
I would have liked to see him last night. Yeah, last night I would have liked to see him last night in what was close to a test match environment. I think he's a really, really good pro who works really, really hard, but I'm not sure if he has that little bit of just that extra gear that you need for the top.
Yeah, and Watson would have that, in fairness. So.
He's a proven track record as well, and,
sure.
So I think I'd be surprised if Watson doesn't make the cut there. Yeah,
I think Josh Adams missed the game last night. Was his wife or partner having a child?
Yeah, she had a baby on Zoom. Baby last night. Yeah.
Which was good for him anyway, I suppose, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's plenty up for debate there behind the scrum for sure, but I think the the front five certainly, and the front five pick themselves, and then I suppose I'd be very confident based on if he goes with a normal stack for his bench that Henderson will get on the bench. I think he's been excellent.
Yeah.
So I'd be very surprised if he's not on the bench. He covers front row, he covers second row and back row. So, but yeah I guess that's a conversation for next week.
Yeah, looking forward to see where everything ends up, I suppose, after the weekend. Do we have injuries? Who performs, who doesn't? It's an interesting team. I'll just go through the team before we wrap up the podcast for anyone that's listening ahead of the match. It's Rory Sutherland, Luke Cowan-Dickey and Tyke Furlong are the front row. Adam Byrne and Johnny Hill, second rows. Tyke Byrne, Hamish Watson and Jack Conan are your back rows. Then Ali Price and Marcus Smith are your half backs. Duhan van der Merves on the left wing. Robbie Henshaw and Elliot Daly in the centre. Josh Adams is on the right wing and Stuart Hoggs full back. And on the bench, Jamie George, Mako Vanapola, Xander Fagerson, Alun Wyn Jones. He's back. Sam Simmons, Gareth Davies, Chris Harris and Lewis Rees-Salmond. An interesting one. We got a bit of a test against the South African A's. This is more of an audition, and then we'll see where we are next week when we're having the chat ahead of the first test. It's fascinating, and God knows who will be called up in the meantime, lads.
Keep the ball on, Pete.
I tell you.
I hear Razzie is looking for a water boy.
Interesting tactics by the coach as well. And if there's any kids watching this, by the way, wear sunscreen. Johnny Tobin is your advertisement for that.
Factor 50, lads.
Tell you, there's some tan on you after that one.
The weather is good in Kilkenny College.
It is, I tell you. If you're outside at all playing your games or your blitzes or whatever's going on at the moment, or your tag rugby or your touch rugby, put on a bit of sunscreen. It's weather's to be very, very hot this weekend as well. Lads, thanks a million for joining us on the podcast and having a look back at the Ireland matches and the lines as well. Interesting times ahead, and we'll look forward to that match this weekend. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff Irish time on Saturday. If you want to watch it, it's the Lions against the Stormers in Cape Town. It's on Sky if you've got Sky. That's it. But lads, thanks a million for joining us. Johnny Tobin and Chris Pim, we'll talk to you again next week.
No bother.